These long dog days of summer, I mean, we just made it through a heat wave. Mama was parched through this heat wave. I was hitting up Dunkin' every single day, and I will continue to probably for the rest of my days, but especially this summer. Dunkin' is helping everyone stay cool this summer with its lineup of refreshers. These drinks are packed with bold, fruity flavors and served ice cold. It's amazing. Dunkin' refreshers are the perfect afternoon pick-me-up. I like to start my morning with them personally, and then sometimes I go back for a second one because I'm just feeling crazy. They come in a variety of delicious flavors, including fan favorites mango pineapple and strawberry dragon fruit. And then for a limited time, there's black cherry and there's pink pineapple. I'm going to tell you something right now, and it's a bold claim, let me tell you, but I stand behind it. Pink pineapple will change your life. It is so good. It has me feeling like I'm sitting in a pool, resort side, just living, honey. It's so yummy. Try your favorite flavor with green tea, sparkling water, lemonade, or Dunkin's all-new limeade. I haven't tried the limeade yet, but I'm going to. Usually I get my drinks made with green tea and occasionally lemonade, but I do really like the green tea. Or if you don't want to build your own, try one of Dunkin's curated refreshers like the Cherry Lime Ricky or the Ultimate Pink Daydream. The Cherry Lime Ricky, scrumptious. I could drink like 3 of these a day. They're so freaking yummy. Head to Dunkin' today and find your favorite refresher. Dunkin' refreshers contain less than 1% fruit juice. Limited time offer. When it comes to online college, Southern New Hampshire University is so good, it's scary. Listen, the facts don't lie. SNHU has degree programs that fit your goals, online classes that fit your life, and real support at every step. And if that wasn't enough, they've got some of the lowest online tuition rates in the U.S. This is an airtight case, you guys. Visit snhu.edu/morbid to get started. That's snhu.edu/morbid. Every good detective needs a partner to support them on important cases. Think of a State Farm agent like your sidekick, there to help you along the way in your search for coverage. State Farm can help you choose the coverage you need, whether it's for your home, car, boat, or even RV. With so many options, it's nice knowing you have help finding what fits for you so you can get back to solving all of life's bigger cases. Go to statefarm.com or use the award-winning app to connect with a local agent and get a quote. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Hey, weirdos, I'm Ash.
And I'm Elena.
And this, right here, is Morbid.
This is Morbid.
And it's morbid in the morning.
It truly is morbid in the morning.
It is. Bitch.
It's bitch.
It's like 8 a.m. right now, which is like pretty morning-ish. But I woke up at 5 because I had to feed them cats that I own.
Yeah, you got to feed those animals, you know?
Yeah, and then I had to feed myself. And I decided, I saw this TikTok. I live my life by TikTok. And this woman said, if it's really good for your circadian rhythm to get some sunlight on your face in the morning, especially if you have PCOS, which I just got diagnosed with. Super fun.
Hey. Boom.
But that's so good for you. So I went outside to eat my breakfast this morning, and I think it was really good for me.
I think, there's something about fresh air in the morning.
It's not
just
always for dead people.
No, it's true. Like, I know we say that, but if you're getting your own fresh air in the morning, it's okay. You just don't want to do it at night.
No.
Like when you're sleeping.
No.
But I used to, in fact, The Butcher and the Wren was mostly written
outside in the morning.
Very early in the morning, like before anyone woke up, outside on my porch with a glass of iced coffee.
Yes.
Or a hot coffee and just getting that fresh air. And I feel like it did something to me because I could plow through stuff out there in the morning, and it was outside that like really did it. Like I want to start doing that again because I think it really does trigger something in the morning.
It's good for a writing place. I
think it really, like, that fresh air is like, it can wake you up and make you start the day better. I think.
And I think like just being exposed to the daylight that early, like I'm not looking to like get tan or anything.
No.
I'm so fucking pale. But just like getting the light on your face in the morning is so good for you, I think. And I was just I'm reading Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires by Grady Hendrix. Elena recommended it. It's
I love
really
Grady
good.
Hendrix.
I just want to tear through it.
Yeah, it's one of those.
At your recommendation, and that was like for book club, wasn't it?
Yeah,
our audio book club.
My Best Friend's Exorcism?
Yeah. I listened and read at the same time to My Best Friend's Exorcism, and it was so good. And this one, Southern Book Clubs,
the same universe.
is in the same universe, like on the same street. Yep. So it's interesting.
It is. I love that about his stuff. And that's a great book. And then I just posted this on my Instagram, but I just read Widow's Point by Richard Chismar. It's coming out in September. I think it's September 30th, I want to say. I think it's on pre-order right now, though. You can pre-order like the audiobook and all that stuff. I can't recommend this book enough.
Yeah, I want to read it.
I mentioned on my Instagram that I want to start like recommending books on there.
Yeah.
And like maybe on my TikTok or something. I'm only going to recommend books that I like. Like I'm not going to like review
like
books I don't like.
Yeah, no.
I just don't want to.
People do that.
Yeah, it's like to each their own. That's whatever you want to do. I just don't want to do that. Like I'd rather just share books that I really like so that you can add them to your to read list or not. Like it's totally
like, just because one person doesn't like a book doesn't mean it's a bad book.
Yeah, like it's like a tough line to walk. Like that's the thing. Like because like I stay out of reviewer spaces because that's their space. Like reader spaces are their spaces.
You're in the author space.
And then authors, at least when it comes to like my books, I'm like, you do what you got to do.
Yeah. Say what you need to say.
Yeah. Like whatever you want to do. And, but I'm going to stay out of those spaces. And which I fully believe that like as authors, we should stay out of those spaces.
For your own mental
Let
health.
them have their own, like you can review books how you want to. Mm-hmm. And, but I was just thinking on my pages, I just wanted to like kind of like share what I love to read because I think I'm trying like protecting peace is like I think a lot of people are really feeling that lately. Like we're just protecting our peace and like keeping things positive.
Yeah.
And that's what I would like to do is just share positive stuff. Like if I don't like a book, I won't share it. If I like a book, I will share it. But people were like, I was really happy to hear that like people listening that you guys were like, like share books that you like. So I'll try to do that like once a week. I'll share a book that I like or something. Like just, and again, if you like it, you like it. If you don't, you don't. That's fine.
Whatever.
But I'll just share what I'm reading because I'm trying to keep myself reading for like leisure as well.
Yeah.
Because it makes me so happy. It fills my cup in such a real way.
I'm at a point where this book where every time I have to close it and go back to like my life, I'm like, I want to go back into that world.
That's when you know you're in a good reading slide. And I'm in a good reading slide right now where it also is really good. And I don't know if this will work for everybody, but I found it works for me in curbing doom scrolling or just like mindless phone shit. If you feel like this will work, this is what I do is every time I feel like I am reaching for my phone to open it, just to like check Instagram or like do something stupid, look at my email. Like it's just like just that mindless, like addictive, I'm grabbing my phone to grab it. Instead of grabbing your phone, just have your book that you're reading with you at all times and read. Yeah. Even if it's just a page. No, just read for the amount of time you would have sat there and scrolled.
I was just doing that this morning because you were saying that like a couple weeks ago even.
I
was doing it this morning. Like you went to the bathroom, I opened my book and read like 2 pages.
Instead of sitting there doom scrolling like, for a second.
We're sitting with the girls for a minute and they were just like having a mama moment. So I was like, I'm going to read.
Yeah. And that's it. It'll get you like reading more and it'll get you looking at your screen less. It won't like, I don't know if it'll cure it, but like...
I don't think it'll eliminate it.
But it absolutely has curbed. When I get into that, I find myself being like, oh, yeah, you don't need to look at your phone. Like, look at the book.
I get into, and I've like gone to therapy about it, I get into like really bad doom scrolling and then I just like look deeply into like the darkest corners of what could end the world. Yeah. And then I spiral. So I'm really trying not to do that. I'm only going to one person for my news sources right now, Aaron Parnas on TikTok.
Same.
He gives me my updates. I say thank you so much.
Thank you, Aaron.
But I'll get to an obsessive place about it. And then I realize that and I'm like, okay, go read your book.
Yeah.
Because you gotta, I think right now, especially like you need to be aware of what's going on.
For
100%.
Sure. Absolutely.
But you also need to escape every now and again. You can't live in that doom.
Find what your happy place is.
Yes.
Because you still deserve to have a happy place.
Yeah.
And you need to retreat to that every once in a while. Like we need to be aware. We need to be taking action when need to take action. But have a happy place. Yeah. It's okay to have a happy place. Don't let people feel like you can't have a happy place. Have your happy place. And if that's reading whatever the fuck you want to read, whether that be the spiciest of spice,
go crazy,
the goriest of gore, or the
beachiest of beach.
The beachiest of beach. Read it, enjoy it, like let it take you away for a little while.
Take me away.
But it really will. I find it really has curbed my like grab your phone and just look at it for no fucking reason when you have like a moment, because I don't love that like we've reached a point in
it's just
things where also we can't be alone with our own thoughts.
Oh, I don't want to be alone with
But
those.
like we used to be able to.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Like that's it, like it has made you feel like you can't be alone with your own thoughts. Like people feel that way, you can.
Yeah.
You just are programmed not to now.
Yeah.
And it's like we used to be able to just sit there and look at the clouds and like think about stuff. Yeah. Like because there wasn't anything else to do. Yeah. Like, or you read a book. Mm-hmm. That's your choices, is like stare around at the things around you or read your book. And it's like I want to get a little bit back to that with my own things, because I need to be more aware of my own like inside of my head.
Yeah, you do. I'm always in my own thoughts and like alone with them when I'm cooking or when I'm baking.
Yeah.
And I think that's why I find baking and cooking so therapeutic. Like,
so see, it's good to be alone. Like,
no, it is. I was only kidding.
But people have been programmed to think, oh, I can't be alone with my own thoughts.
Yeah.
No, you can.
No, you totally can.
You're just like, you think you can.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, as long as you're doing something that like comforts you, like you're saying.
Yeah. Exactly.
Baking, cooking, reading, knitting.
Oh, crocheting.
Like so crocheting.
Fun. Oh, I saw this on TikTok and I wanted to say it. Because again, I live my life by TikTok.
I think it's great for some things.
No, for some things it really is. I saw a TikTok of this girl and she was like, I need a new hobby. Like my hobby is just finding new hobbies. Like tell me some. And there is a whole like subgroup of hobbies that are called like, I think they're called like extinct hobbies. Ooh. Or something like that. Or like they're like, I think it's extinct hobbies. Huh. And there was this whole one where it was like this kind of, I forget what it's called. I'm going to have to look it up and like fill you guys in later, but it's a kind of lace that you make.
Oh,
it's cool.
So these are things like in the pioneer days when they would like chase that hoop around.
Yes.
With like the
no,
like
exactly.
Shit that like people don't do anymore.
No, literally things that are like going to go extinct if more people don't learn them.
Let's go.
Because they're going to like die with our grandmas.
A field, you know?
Yeah.
Like that kind of shit.
Yeah. I was like, I might try that. It looks fun. And there's all different kinds of lace that you can make. And it's I
love that kind of shit.
Beautiful.
I love like weird hobbies.
Yeah. Well,
if it makes you happy and it's not hurting you or anyone else, then
go look at a fucking
do it, man.
List of extinct hobbies.
Yeah. Don't make anyone feel like it's weird or you're like
enter a craft fair.
Yeah, do whatever the fuck you want.
I might.
Hell yeah.
I just like randomly took up making blankets last year.
Hell yeah.
Like crocheting blankets.
Yeah, as you should.
And then I just stopped.
I think that's great.
Maybe I'll try again.
Yeah.
Yeah. Get my tension a little better.
Man. We need to get back to hobbies.
Hobbies.
You know?
Yeah, find a hobby.
That's the thing. The doom scrolling has taken over, and like arguing online and shit has taken over like fun hobbies that really like fill your cup.
Stop arguing online. You don't know those people.
Yeah, I think it's just like, I think it feels like it's boiling over that whole subsect of life. I think people are getting a little sick of the chronically online.
Well, the pendulum swings the other way.
Yeah, it just feels like it's like everybody's like, you know what? There's worse shit happening. We need to focus on.
It's true. Well, speaking of worse shit,
I was going to say, and I think we're going to talk about it right now. Actually.
Yeah, we are going to talk about some pretty terrible stuff. This case, so this is the last call killer, which shout out to Dave for finding this, because this happened like sort of in our backyard almost, like a little bit further away, but like some of it takes place in Mass.
Wow.
And I had never really heard about this case.
I have not. I don't think I know this one.
No, it's deeply upsetting. Like what happened here is deeply upsetting. But I will say this is going to be a two-parter. Part one, we're going to focus a lot on the victims, you know, who they were and what happened to them, unfortunately. But then in part two, I will tell you, like up at the top, this person does get apprehended. And the way they go about it, and the way this is like a real case of like good detective work and like really fascinating detective work.
That makes me happy.
Because this is like it starts in like late 80s and then goes into like mid 90s all the way into the early aughts, where like that like turn of the century kind
of. Forensics was turning from, you know, it was really going through a evolution.
Yeah, and it's really cool. And we're going to talk about some things that I don't think we have before as far as like fingerprint evidence and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's going to be two parts. So let's get into part one right now.
Yeah.
So on the afternoon of May 5th, 1991, a turnpike maintenance worker was just emptying the trash barrels at a rest stop. It was along the highway in Lancaster County, Pennsylvania, and he made a horrific discovery. This man had been in the habit of separating out the aluminum cans from the rest of the trash.
Mm-hmm.
So he had to really get in there and dig through everything. Obviously, it's like pretty messy work.
Yeah.
But it was just a matter of pulling the entire bag out of the barrel and just sorting through that garbage. But this time, he was struggling to lift the bag. It seemed like somebody had put something really heavy in the barrel. So he grabbed a large stick and he started poking the garbage bag, just kind of like trying to figure out what could be inside.
Mm-hmm.
And every time he managed to get the bag open, though, he would find another layer of garbage bag underneath, like multiple times.
Yeah.
So finally, after making his way through 8 or 9 layers of plastic, this man discovered what was weighing the barrel down. Years later, he said, "It looked like a loaf of bread, but then I saw freckles."
Oh.
Yeah. Shocked and absolutely horrified, he dropped the stick and grabbed his radio to call his supervisors, who notified Pennsylvania State Police about what had been found. In Rafo Township, there was actually no police department, so all cases were handled by the state police, no matter what size or significance they were. And in the case of the remains found at this rest stop, the criminal investigations unit was called in, and they arrived a short time later. After removing all the bags from the barrel, it was clear that what the maintenance worker had discovered was the decomposing body of a nude, middle-aged white man with visible knife wounds in his chest and back.
Holy shit.
Yeah, it only gets worse.
Oh.
So the criminal investigations unit in Lancaster County obviously had seen their fair share of homicides over the years, and, some were more gruesome than others. But this was unlike anything any of those officers had ever seen before. This man appeared to be emaciated. They said he weighed maybe around 100 pounds, and unfortunately, decomp had already set in. This is heinous, so just get ready for this.
Oh, boy.
In addition to multiple stab wounds, the victim's penis had also been severed and shoved into his mouth.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's so fucking grotesque.
It's grotesque. And it's like,
holy shit.
Whoever killed this man went to the trouble of wrapping him in so many garbage bags, but also did that to probably horrify whoever found this body.
100%. It's such a weird dichotomous way of doing that.
Yes, it is. Because it's like, in one sense, you're hiding what you've done. And in another sense, you did that so people would find it.
And to shock people.
Exactly.
You want the theater of it.
Yeah.
But you also are trying to hide it.
It's very strange. And we'll run into that a lot more.
And those kind of things, it's just what kind of person?
When you find out.
How are you a human?
When you find out who this guy is, it's just like, what?
What the
It's wild. And when you find out the fact that he was able to get away with what he did for so long, and
oh God,
he never should have been able to. It seems like everything is connected to your gut microbiome. I've scrolled TikTok, I know, you know. Fact is, we are learning so much about how the gut microbiome is key to our mental health, immunity, and of course, digestion. If you're looking for digestive support, Ritual's got your back, or rather your biome, with Symbiotic Plus, a 3-in-1 powerhouse of clinically studied pre, pro, and postbiotics to support a balanced gut microbiome with daily use. I want to have good gut health. It's really a big goal in my life. So I take Symbiotic Plus. I've been taking it for a long time, and I feel good about it. Ritual Symbiotic Plus is designed with a delayed release capsule to help reach the colon, not the stomach, an ideal place for probiotics to survive and grow. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. But one daily pop of mint scented for bloat, gut, and regularity support. It's vegan friendly and it's formulated without GMOs, without major allergens, no animal products, shady fillers, or artificial colors. So get your gut going. Support a balanced gut microbiome with Ritual Symbiotic Plus. Get 25% off your first month at ritual.com/morbid. That's ritual.com/morbid for 25% off your first month. This show is sponsored by Liquid IV. I love the summertime. The summertime is great, but I also have been known to get a little dehydrated in the summertime before I knew about Liquid IV. No matter how hot your summer gets, Liquid IV can help you keep hydrated for the adventures ahead. The summer heat means that it is the perfect time to try their new Arctic raspberry flavor. That sounds really good. Plus, Liquid IV has sugar-free solutions powered by Live Hydroscience for smart hydration. Visit liquidiv.com and use code MORBID at checkout for 20% off your first order. I'm obsessed with the sugar-free options, by the way, including white peach, lemon lime, rainbow sherbet. That's one of my favorites, and there's even more. Just one stick and 16 ounces of water hydrates better than water alone. Powered by Live Hydroscience, an optimized ratio of electrolytes, essential vitamins, and clinically tested nutrients that turn ordinary water into extraordinary hydration. Squeeze the most out of your summer with Liquid IV. Tear, pour, and live more. Go to liquidiv.com and get 20% off your first order with code MORBID at checkout. That's 20% off your first order with code MORBID at liquidiv.com. Back to this day, to Officer Jay Musser, one of the first who was at the scene, the murder seemed deeply personal and very deliberate. Yeah. Definitely not the kind of thing that just happens in the heat of the moment, obviously. Now, notably absent from the scene were the man's clothing, any personal belongings, and identification. It was clear he had been brutalized and mutilated, but upon an initial evaluation of the body, it was unclear precisely how he had died. There were obviously those stab marks, but there were also multiple points of lividity indicating that the body had been moved more than once, but rigor mortis had not set in yet, which suggested that he'd only been dead about a day.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Like very newly dead.
Interesting.
So the autopsy conducted later that day revealed a lot more than investigators and officers ever would have been able to get from the scene. That man had been stabbed in the back between the right shoulder and the spine. But the stab wounds to the abdomen were far more serious. In his stomach, there was a large oval-shaped wound created by something very sharp. And just above that was a stab wound about half an inch in length. And the coroner described it as in an 11 to 5 o'clock line as one looks at a watch.
Damn.
Yeah. The wounds to the stomach were deep and had perforated the abdominal cavity. And so the medical examiner listed that as the cause of death.
For sure.
And he also noted that the severing of the penis had occurred post-mortem. Yeah.
I mean, thank goodness for that part,
yeah.
But
yeah.
Holy shit.
So the medical examiner had been able, obviously, to tell investigators how and when this man had died, approximately. But what they still had to find out was who he was and how his body had come to be found in the trash.
Yeah.
Because of his small stature and weight, initially detectives theorized that maybe he could have been a jockey who raced at nearby Penn National Track. But they checked in with Penn National Management and all of their riders were accounted for.
Huh.
So while the medical examiner's office worked to identify this man, detectives continued working the few tips and very little evidence that they had. A few drivers had reported seeing a man outside of his car by the rest stop that night, but all the descriptions varied so much that they were pretty much useless. And several other callers suggested maybe the man was a victim of a mob hit because the mob was, quote, known to do something similar to enemies.
Oh, yeah?
I was like, I think usually it goes a little different than that.
Yeah. But I mean, I don't know. I guess so.
Yeah, I don't know the Pennsylvania mob.
Damn.
But in the end, the tips really went nowhere. And the case, unfortunately, was quickly growing cold. But just as investigators were pretty much resigning themselves to the fact that this was probably just going to go unsolved, a truck driver at a rest stop in nearby Chester County discovered 2 50-gallon trash barrels with pretty unusual contents. So the driver called authorities and alerted them to what he discovered. And when they arrived to view the contents, they immediately connected them with the dead man found in Lancaster County. Among the trash in the barrel, crime scene technicians found several pairs of socks, a corduroy hat, 2 pairs of underwear, a pair of Brooks Brothers pants, a belt, 2 t-shirts, and traveler's checks in $50 denominations.
Okay.
There was also a parking ticket received from the city of Philadelphia, several pieces of Mellon Bank stationery with just various notes scribbled on them, and finally, a driver's license for the victim, who was found to be 54-year-old Peter Stickney Anderson of Philadelphia. 54. It's like, that's so young.
Yeah, and for that to be how it ends?
Yeah. So there wasn't a lot of information about Peter Anderson for police to find right away, but they did learn that he had previously been an investment banker, but at the time he was killed, he was unemployed. He was also divorced once and in the midst of a separation, so he was living alone in an apartment in downtown Philadelphia. To try to get some more information, detectives contacted a woman whose name was actually on those notes that they had found in the trash. And it turned out that she was an associate of Peter's who said she last saw him at the Blue Parrot, which was a Philadelphia piano bar just a few days before he died.
Okay.
It turned out that the Blue Parrot was one of several gay bars that Peter was known to have frequented in the handful of years leading up to his death. According to the staff and patrons there, Peter was one of the regulars who drank pretty heavily and tended to stay pretty late into the night. Like Peter, the clientele of the bar were typically middle-aged, middle-class white men, which indicated to the detectives that if Peter had been picked up by his killer at the Blue Parrot, then the killer most likely wasn't a sex worker.
Oh, okay.
They were thinking at first they were thinking possibly that could have been it.
Possibly that's but
they were like, maybe not. His penchant for piano bars was only the first, but definitely not the most surprising piece of information that detectives would learn in the days following the identification. It turned out that for a lot of his life, Peter's interest in men and gay bars had been kept hidden from his friends and acquaintances. He belonged to the Church of the Holy Trinity, so he was hiding it from people there. And he was hiding it from his ex-wife and his current wife, who he was separated from.
Okay.
Which is really sad.
That breaks my heart.
It does.
It really does.
There's going to be a lot of heartbreaking things in this
Especially
case.
Since he was hiding it and obviously feeling some kind of shame that was put on him for it.
Yeah.
And then it ends like this.
Yeah.
And it's without him, I don't know if he was able to, but if he was ever able to come to terms with it or be
no, not
out,
really. It not really at all.
What an awful way for that story to end.
Yeah, and the time where his life ended, it was a really hard time for him.
Yeah.
And who knows, maybe he would have gotten past it because, as time went on or stuff like that, but
that's sad.
He never got that opportunity. But digging into his past, investigators learned that Peter's true sexual identity, like we were just saying, was something he very much kept private. And it seemed that he really just wanted to blend in with his peers. His former classmate from Trinity College said he just wanted to be part of the boys. He was more like a mascot. Most people who knew him in those days recalled that he was a hard worker, very studious, very responsible, nothing at all like the other members of his fraternity, which was Psi Upsilon. Hopefully I said that right. While the other young men were out drinking, partying, casually dating, being frat boys, Peter could just be found in his bedroom studying or writing.
Oh.
Yeah, he sounded adorable. It never actually really occurred to anybody that he was gay, but there was no reason why it should have. At that time, a lot of gay people were very closeted and went well out of their way to hide that and suppress any, indication of being different, quote unquote. Peter felt, like you were just saying, that he wouldn't be accepted if he lived openly. So he chose not to pursue his interest in politics and the priesthood and instead pursued a career in banking. He very much, I think, wanted to fly under the radar.
I was going to say, just fly under the radar.
Yeah. And when he finally did muster the courage to tell his mother that he was gay, the confession led to years of a broken relationship between them that essentially just confirmed what he assumed. To live as an openly gay man would basically lead to a life of heartbreak and rejection.
That's so devastating.
It is. It's awful.
Yeah.
And it's if your own mom doesn't accept you and you're feeling that, how do you come out to anybody else?
Yeah, I don't know how anybody gets through that.
I don't either.
Kind of shit,
So in the years that followed, he lived what passed for an ordinary straight life. He found a job that was really not satisfying, but it paid well enough to support him. A few years later, he got engaged to a woman that he was casually dating, but he was also carrying on a secret affair with a man named Anthony Hoyt, who he had met in New York.
Okay.
Hoyt later said, if it had been today, in today's society, we could have been partners. Oh. But in those days, you weren't gay. Gay was not good.
Oh.
Yeah.
Why does anyone give a shit?
That's the thing.
I will never get to a point where I can even slightly understand that way of viewing it.
It doesn't affect you who someone else loves.
If it's a consenting adult, I don't give a fuck.
It doesn't affect you in any way.
I don't give a fuck, and I'm happy for you. If
exactly.
you're happy, I'm happy. And I don't get it. I don't get caring.
And it should just be that simple. If you're happy, if you're happy, it's a consenting adult and they're happy, I'm fucking happy.
Yeah.
Why do we make it so much more complicated? And what do people hate about it? I don't get that.
That's what I don't get.
Like why do people hate who somebody else loves?
I just let consenting adults be.
Yeah.
That's what I don't get.
Live and let live.
I don't get it.
Yeah, it's wild. Well, unfortunately, Peter's engagement eventually fell apart. And in 1969, so did his relationship with Anthony Hoyt. That ended too because Anthony ended up marrying a woman also to pass.
My goodness.
Most likely. That same year, Peter went to a party where he met a woman named Edith Sandy Blake. She was from a wealthy family. Her big dream was really just to make it in New York's high society. And after meeting her, literally just a few days later, Peter proposed. And a few months later, he and Sandy were married. They moved to Dedham, Massachusetts.
Oh, shit.
Just about a half hour outside of Boston. But it was soon pretty clear to Sandy that Peter was not in love with her. She said, he thought of me as his possession, and that's where it all went wrong. He collected antiques, and I was just one of his antiques.
Oh, damn.
Which is sad. Yeah.
Yeah.
Despite the obvious conflicts in their marriage, Peter and Sandy did stay together for almost a decade until she met somebody else and decided to end things with Peter. Luckily, things actually seemed to end amicably enough, and they did stay close friends. And it wasn't long before Peter got married again, this time in 1979 to a woman named Cynthia Reed, the woman who he was separated from at the time of his death. By that time, pretty much everyone who knew Peter well assumed that he was gay, but nobody brought it up ever. A friend said, "You don't talk about who's cheating on their wives."
Whoa.
Yeah. I was like, I do talk about that.
I was going to say, because I feel like we all talk about that.
I actually think everybody talks about that, but okay. You're a better gal than I.
This entire show's dedicated to that. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, the new marriage was followed by a new job, this time with Mellon Bank, and moved to Philadelphia in the mid-1980s. But by then, the pain and secrecy around so much of what was his true identity had started to take a serious toll on Peter. And to cope with that, he started drinking more and more, and soon enough, his drinking became excessive. And with the heavy drinking came other vices. One day after she had been away for a few days on a trip to New York, Cynthia came home to find evidence that Peter had a guest for, quote, sexual purposes, and that it was not a woman. After that, Cynthia started finding evidence about Peter's sexuality hidden in various places around the house. So by the end of the 1980s, almost everything in Peter's life seemed to have broken down completely.
Oh, man.
In 1987, he was charged with drunk driving and ended up losing his license. Then, a short time later, he lost his job at the bank. And finally, by 1990, his marriage to Cynthia had completely unraveled, and that's when they were separated.
Damn.
And through all of that, Peter's health was continuing to decline. He was losing a significant amount of weight, and to everybody who knew him, he looked gaunt, like he was going through it. By May of 1991, Peter's life was in shambles. He had squandered all but $75,000 of the $400,000 he'd inherited from an aunt who passed away.
Wow.
Just a few years earlier. And the rest of his money was running out fast, most of it basically on drinks at various gay bars around Philadelphia. However, investigators did learn that Peter actually spent his final days in New York City. They thought possibly Philadelphia, but they found out that no, he was in New York City.
Oh, okay.
He had attended a fundraiser in the city on May 3rd, and he was last seen leaving the Townhouse Bar, which is a Manhattan piano bar that catered almost exclusively to a gay clientele. In the first week of the investigation, they really did end up learning a great deal about Peter and had even arrived at a theory as to how he met his end, but none of that information led them closer to their killer. It was clear that the rest stop was not where Peter had been murdered, and because of that, there wasn't a lot of evidence to collect there.
Yeah.
So crime scene technicians ended up finding 28 fingerprints and 3 palm prints on the bags that Peter had been wrapped in, but they weren't a match to anybody in a local database, and a nationwide search would eventually turn up nothing either. So in mid-May, Lieutenant Charles Stevens told reporters, "We don't have any suspects and no motive." And unfortunately, that's how things would stay for several years to come.
Oh, shit.
A year passed, and Peter Anderson's case was shelved as a cold case when on July 10th in Burlington, New Jersey, the scene appeared to be repeating itself. That morning, New Jersey Department of Transportation workers, Wayne Luker and Theodore Doyle, were just going about their daily cleaning of the rest areas along Route 70 and Route 72. When at the Butler Place rest area, Luker noticed that some of the bags in the barrel were not New Jersey DOT issued.
Okay.
So he pulled one of the bags out of the trash to inspect it and noticed that it was unusually heavy and, quote, felt like it had a pumpkin in it.
Oh.
Underneath, there were several more bags, and some of them appeared to be leaking what looked like blood. At the time, the men didn't find this unusual, which, like, at first I was like, what? But it was because it was common for fishermen to dispose of fish parts on their way home from, like, a fishing trip. So they gathered up the remaining bags and just threw them in the truck.
Okay.
Once they were back at the sorting plant, Luker and Doyle started, removing the garbage from the truck, throwing it into larger receptacles for processing. But curiosity was poking at Luker.
Yeah.
So he opened the bag that felt like it had a pumpkin in it and discovered that it was obviously not a pumpkin, but the decapitated head of a middle-aged white man.
Holy shit.
I can't imagine just going about my job and finding that.
Finding a decapitated head?
Yeah.
Well, there's nothing that could ever prepare you for something like that.
No. And imagine if his curiosity hadn't been poking at him.
Yeah.
He would have just thrown that.
Yeah,
that man could have never been found.
And it would have been exactly what the killer was hoping for.
Yeah.
That somebody would have just tossed it away.
Or maybe not at the same time.
I know.
He's a strange guy.
Yeah.
So as they were emptying the contents of their truck at the plant, another sanitation worker cleaning the Stafford Forest rest area about 15 miles away also made a similarly horrifying discovery. When Leon Valentino was unable to lift the entire trash bag out of the full barrel, he started pulling smaller bags out one at a time. And at one point, one of those bags ripped open and revealed the contents to be a human leg.
Damn.
Now, this is 15 miles away. So New Jersey
Like
State Police
scattering
detectives, he did. New Jersey State Police detectives split up between the two sites and started processing the scenes. At the first site, investigators inventoried the contents of the trash bags and discovered 3 triple-bagged trash bags with handles containing the man's head, 2 double-bagged white trash bags containing the left and right arms, each individually bagged, 2 double-bagged and double-knotted brown plastic trash bags containing a man's upper torso, and a New York Daily newspaper dated July 3rd, 1992. They also found 2 double-bagged and double-knotted brown plastic trash bags containing the man's lower torso and another newspaper dated July 3rd, 1992. A white plastic bag containing the man's intestines and stomach contents. Oh. And then they also found 2 right-handed size 7 surgical gloves, a shower curtain, 1 fitted sheet, a torn latex glove, a pair of men's tennis shoes, 1 master compass saw with a blade, 1 master compass saw package with an extra blade, and a Pergament's price sticker, 2 more latex gloves, and an Abraham and Strauss paper bag with handles.
Oh my God. It's the stomach contents and intestines
in a white plastic
bag.
In
one bag?
Yeah. Just alone.
Like, for some reason, that's like so visceral.
It sure is.
Like, holy
intestines and stomach contents, that's a lot.
Holy shit.
And that was just at one site. Remember, there's 2 sites.
God.
If you're listening to this show, Morbid, you know that a day can change in an instant. We need nourishment so that we can stay sharp and out of danger, honey. Kachava's whole body meal shakes will keep your body and your mind nourished all day long and ready for anything. I probably heard about Kachava over a year ago, and at first, I'm not going to lie to you, I was skeptical. I said, could it really taste that good? I made me up a little Kachava, and I absolutely love it. I incorporate it into almost every single morning. And there are a ton of ingredients that are so good for you. There's goji berry, chia seeds. You know how I feel about chia seeds. There's 25 grams of plant protein. There's 26 vitamins and minerals, 6 grams of fiber. You know I love my fiber. And over 85 superfoods, nutrients, and plant-based ingredients. It's so good for you. And the fact that it has all of that to offer while also tasting good, I mean, that's a win-win. Stay sharp and fuel your yourself with Kachava. Go to kachava.com and use code MORBIDPOD for 15% off your next order. Again, that's Kachava, KACHAVA.com, code MORBIDPOD for 15% off. From home improvements to self-care to just having some fun in the sun, summer is the season to enjoy and do all the things that you've been waiting to do. So the last thing that you really want to be doing is spending more time in the kitchen, or worse, the supermarket. Ugh! Make summer both enjoyable and delicious by getting the #1 meal kit as voted by USA Today's readers, HelloFresh. HelloFresh makes it easier to fit quick home-cooked meals into your schedule every week by curating delicious recipes and delivering them right to your door, like panko-crusted chimichurri barramundi or sun-dried tomato grilled cheese sandos. I actually had those the other day, and they are taking over my life. I'm going to have them at least once a week. Make your summer enjoyable and delicious by signing up for HelloFresh at HelloFresh.com/morbid10fm and get 10 free meals with a free item for life. That's HelloFresh.com/morbid10fm for 10 free meals and a free item in every box. HelloFresh.com/morbid10fm. One per box with an active subscription. Free meals are applied as a discount on the first box. New subscribers only. Varies by plan. Meanwhile, at the Stafford Forest Rest area, the other site, technicians sorting through the contents of the barrels discovered several of the same brand of garbage bags used at the other site. And they also found the man's left and right legs in those bags. Also discovered in the trash bags were more latex gloves, a pair of cloth gloves, a disposable razor, another copy of the New York Post dated July 7th, 1992. And the bags also contained a man's briefcase, which is how they found the identification for their victim, 57-year-old Thomas Mulcahy.
Oh.
Again, so young. According to the driver's license, Thomas Mulcahy lived in Sudbury, Massachusetts, which is wild.
It's so weird to hear all these places.
It is.
It always is.
Weird. It's always weird to hear these places, but it's so weird when you've never heard of the case and it was like right there.
Which like makes me angry that we've never heard of this case, because I'm like, what the fuck do you mean I didn't know about this?
That's exactly how I felt.
I'm actually like annoyed.
No, same.
Yeah.
And just for anybody who doesn't know, Sudbury is like another suburb about 30 miles from Boston. And Thomas Mulcahy worked there as a technology consultant. Upon further investigation, detectives learned that he was a married father of 4 children. Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah. So the first call placed after the body was discovered was obviously to Mulcahy's wife, Margaret. According to Margaret, Thomas had been in New York City for a business conference, and he was supposed to return home the previous day, July 9th. They had talked 2 days earlier, and he said he was still planning on coming home. And when he hadn't returned as was planned, she called the hotel and asked the staff to check his room, where they found his clothing, and that was it. The next day, she called the NYPD, but she was told that she would need to file a missing persons report with the local police in Sudbury, which really doesn't make a lot of sense. Yeah. She did as she was instructed, but the Sudbury police told her it would be wise to wait a few days before filing the report, just in case her husband just returned.
Yeah.
But it's like, no, I'm going to file the report.
I think,
err on the side of caution.
Yeah. That would absolutely be me.
But also she's like, okay, I guess I'll just do what the police tell me, because it seems like they don't want to file this report. But later in court, she said, I couldn't understand why I had to wait.
Yeah.
I wouldn't understand that either.
I'd be pissed.
Yeah, she absolutely was, and I would be too. Back in Newark, the medical examiner started the autopsy of Thomas Mulcahy, laying out the disarticulated parts on the table to form a whole human. The first thing the examiner noticed was a patch of missing skin on the neck, which had been crudely removed. The patch ended up being found in one of the other bags, and there was an obvious bite mark in this patch of skin.
Holy shit.
Brutal.
And that they removed the patch of skin because they knew they had?
Yeah. But then left it in the bags.
Left it.
Oh, it's weird.
Awful.
And like you said, it's so dichotomous. Like,
yeah, I can't.
Because it's like, did you throw it away because it had a bite mark in it? Or did you throw it, why did you cut that off and throw it away?
It's a very disorganized way of thinking.
It is.
Like, you can't figure out, this person can't think what they want out of this.
It's true.
You know, like what the point of it all is to them.
I don't know if maybe they thought one set of what they had thrown away was not going to be discovered for some reason because of where they threw it away. And then the other one would be found because of where they put it, or if they just wanted both to be found.
Yeah, because I feel like they wanted both to be found.
It does feel that way.
And maybe they just thought it would, I mean, I guess they were right because it sounds like it took a while to find them. Maybe they just thought they would have this exciting goose chase where they would find something over here and they wouldn't be able to connect it here. And because it's like, if not, you would have just destroyed that piece. Right. I mean, this is very grotesque, but you would have destroyed that piece of flesh. You wouldn't have left it whole to be able to see a bite mark.
That's the thing.
That would have been pretty easy to destroy.
Exactly.
Instead of just leaving it.
It's just, this person's mind is wild.
Yeah.
Well, they ended up determining that the cause of death was a penetrating stab wound about 4 inches deep, which penetrated the heart, which obviously killed Thomas instantly. There were 3 additional stab wounds in the abdomen and the chest, and they also found ligature marks around the wrists, which had caused hemorrhaging on one arm, indicating that Thomas had been alive when he was bound.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Most interesting to the medical examiner was not the death itself, but the disarticulation. We've said this a lot during other cases. A lot of times when a body is dismembered, it's not done well. It's usually just because the killer needs to dispose of the remains more easily. Yeah. But this case showed considerable evidence of skill. The body had been carefully and methodically taken apart at the joints, which takes a long time.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Yeah. So this suggested that not only did the killer have the time and the space to perform such a labor-intensive task, but they also had considerable knowledge of human anatomy that allowed them to remove a limb like a surgeon would.
Yeah.
And it also indicated that the killer was probably a man, since proper disarticulation of that type took a decent amount of upper body strength.
Yeah, I could see that.
You know, so finally there was something ritualistic about the disarticulation itself. The body parts had all been carefully removed, washed, and placed in individual bags, then double bagged and tied tightly.
Which definitely shows you a very particular pathology, I would think.
This wasn't just like a means to an end, just somebody trying to simply get rid of a body. It was a large part of a long process engaged in by the killer. And whoever had done this to Thomas Mulcahy had really left nothing behind. Taken together, all of this told the investigators that this killer was confident, and most alarmingly, he had probably done this before and was definitely going to strike again.
Yeah.
The kind of person who does this isn't just going to stop.
No.
You know?
This isn't like, wow, okay, I satisfied that.
Right. Yeah. Right. Obviously, the news hit the Mulcahy family and friends very hard. Reverend Brian Manning said he died a very tragic, very violent death. It was very unsettling. And the level of violence indicated a personal relationship between Mulcahy and his killer, but neither Margaret or anybody else could imagine someone who would want Thomas dead and who would go to these lengths. A former coworker said he had a view of life that everything was great, the classic forward-thinking American. He would always say nice things about people.
Oh,
yeah.
That just makes me sad.
I know. So detectives pored over Thomas's business cards and credit card, just trying to retrace his moments and the days leading up to his death. And that's when they came across something unexpected. Among the charges that you would find during a business trip was a charge from the Townhouse Bar. I don't know if that sounds familiar to you.
It does.
So the news didn't really come to Margaret as much of a shock. They had been married for more than 3 decades at that point, but in recent years, Thomas had actually been open with her about his bisexuality. He was bisexual.
Good for him.
Yeah, I know. I'm happy that he felt like he could be open.
And good for her, I hope, for allowing him to feel that way.
Yeah, I think it obviously was tough because
of course.
You're married, so
when
that's
it changes,
hard, you know,
or like when it comes out, like it could probably be like, oh, okay,
they struggled, but
obviously she made him feel safe enough to bring it up,
which is beautiful. So, in fact, it was actually, and it did become a regular practice that when Thomas went out of town for business trips, usually he would add on a day or two to his trip to explore the local gay scenes and visit the bars.
Okay.
His daughter Tracy said he got to live the part of his life that he wasn't able to live publicly.
Wow.
So, like, when he went to New York, he kind of got to be in touch with that part of himself.
Yeah.
And really be who he was.
Yeah, and it seems like he was just like a multifaceted human being.
Yeah, exactly.
And I'm glad he had people around him who were supportive of
that.
Him looking at all those parts.
Yeah. So initially, obviously, the revelation that her husband also had a sexual and romantic interest in men did come as a shock to Margaret.
Yeah, of course.
But after months of going to therapy together and having very open, honest communication, Margaret did accept Thomas for who he was, and they did reach a compromise.
Wow, that's
That's big. Because remember, this is
what time period is this?
It's 1991, I want to say.
Yeah,
and it was probably like the mid to late 80s when this happened.
Yeah, so that's like a really like healthy way to approach that kind of like because obviously you went into this marriage thinking one thing, and when things change, no matter what it is,
it's hard.
It's okay for somebody to be like a little shocked and have to like kind of work through it.
Absolutely.
And the fact that they worked through it together and had like open, honest conversations is like, and especially at that time period, is like really like impressive.
It is.
Of them as humans, all of them.
It is. And, things seemed to go okay for a while. Thomas seemed relieved that he had, shared that part of himself.
Yeah.
And he seemed happy. But at a later period, Margaret started to wonder whether he was as happy as she assumed he had been. For the last several years, it seemed that his drinking had been increasing to the point where she actually even confronted him about maybe possibly being an alcoholic. And years later, their children would recall a tension in the house toward the end of their father's life. But at that time, they obviously didn't know why.
Yeah,
Tracy said, it seemed like she made him feel like shit, but you didn't know what was the reasoning behind it.
Yeah.
So to them, it seemed like one thing, but obviously it was much more layered than they ever knew.
I was going to say that sounds like a very complicated situation.
Yeah. So aside from his mostly closeted sexuality, Thomas Mulcahy's background didn't shed much light onto how he would have ended up killed. Instead, investigators turned to his whereabouts in the days before his death. According to his wife, Thomas had traveled to the offices of, I think it's Deloitte and Touche on the morning of July 8th, where he gave a presentation to about 25 staff members at their offices in the World Trade Center. Afterward, he went out to a long lunch with some associates where they each drank, quote unquote, more than a half a dozen beers each, which would have accounted for his blood alcohol being nearly 2.5 times the legal limit when he died.
Wow.
Yeah. He had a good time.
Yeah.
After lunch, the men went their separate ways, and Thomas ended up going on to the townhouse bar, where he stayed and continued drinking for several more hours. At the townhouse bar, detectives interviewed a man named Douglas Gibson. He was one of the patrons who had been in the bar the night that Thomas was there. Gibson said that he had been introduced to Thomas that night by another townhouse regular, and he just sat down beside him at the bar. He was interested in Thomas.
Yeah.
But despite his obvious interest, Thomas seemed distracted and pretty disinterested. Gibson said he kept looking across the bar at a man sitting by the piano on the other side of the room. At a certain point, Gibson got up to go to the restroom, and when he came back, Thomas and the man at the other end of the bar were both gone.
Okay.
So Gibson described the man to the detectives as best he could, but he was seated on the opposite side of a crowded room, so the description was pretty vague.
Yeah, and it sounds like he was more interested in who he was talking to, so he wasn't probably looking very much.
Exactly. So it really didn't come of any use to the detectives. So with no fingerprints, very little evidence, and not a single suspect, the case looked like it was going nowhere, just like Peter Anderson's case. The only thing investigators had to work with were the various items found inside the garbage bags and the bags themselves. Inside one of the bags, technicians discovered the saw likely used in the disarticulation, alongside an additional saw blade, which still had that price tag from the Pergaments, which is a regional home improvement store.
Okay.
So using the price tag to guide them, detectives traced the saw back to a store located on Staten Island, where they confirmed that the saw had been purchased. So they're doing
Look at that.
Straight up detective work here. Similarly, the rubber gloves and bags appeared to have been purchased at a CVS store, which was also located in Staten Island next to that Pergaments location.
Okay.
To investigators on the case, the point of purchase for the saw, the gloves, and the garbage bags was significant. It indicated that the killer was at least comfortable with that area of Staten Island, enough so that he could move about casually. So that indicated to them that Staten Island was most likely his home base. But the range of distance from Staten Island out to New Jersey, where Mulcahy's body had been discovered, was massive.
Yeah.
And canvassing every neighborhood just would have been impossible.
I do love real old-fashioned detective work when they're able to follow these little trails,
right? And
come
even
up with things based on very
purchases, like something you might think is innocuous, but it's not. Mm-hmm. And even though it took years to finally get there, at least they had those little things along the way that somebody like a new detective could then follow back up on.
Yeah, and put all the pieces together.
Right? They had the puzzle pieces. It wasn't like they were just letting this go.
Yeah.
But after about 2 weeks on the case, the results of a previously completed VICAP, which is the Violent Criminal Apprehension Program, it's a small unit of the FBI. They analyze like serial violent sexual crimes. So the VICAP search came back, and it indicated that Thomas Mulcahy's murder definitely bore certain similarities to the murder of Peter Anderson the previous year. When they looked into the Anderson case, the similarities were striking. Both men lived mostly closeted lives. Both men had been married to women, seemed to have drinking problems, and had both also spent at least a few of their last hours at the townhouse bar.
Yeah.
And of course, they had both been mutilated and left in garbage bags alongside the highway, where they were almost certain to be found quickly. Detective Matthew Cohen said, at that point, you're looking at a potential serial killer.
Yeah.
So by the end of July 1992, the investigation into Thomas Mulcahy's death had unfortunately gone cold, and after a few more months of dead ends, the case was shelved and marked inactive. Then, on May 10th, 1993, a man driving along a dirt road in Manchester Township, New Jersey, inadvertently revived the Mulcahy investigation when he spotted something laying in the road and pulled over to investigate. When Donald Giberson pulled off to the side of the road, he couldn't quite tell what he was looking at, but it seemed worth investigating. As he got closer to the object, he was horrified to discover that what he had stumbled upon was a man's arm with a piece of clothesline attached to it.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And that was sticking out of a white trash bag. So he looked closer into the bushes just beyond where the arm was, thinking that he might find whoever it belonged to. But instead, he found 6 heavy-duty dark green trash bags.
Holy shit.
So he immediately found the nearest phone and called the police. Good on him. After searching the scene thoroughly, investigators ended up finding a total of 7 garbage bags containing 7 different body parts. The legs, upper torso, and lower torso were each triple wrapped in heavy green garbage bags, and the arms were each wrapped in white trash bags and then placed in a heavy green bag.
Okay.
The head, on the other hand, was in a similar shopping bag with the words President's Choice on one side and Made with Pride by Bob H. and Jerry H. on the other. Like, these were just commercial shopping bags. You know that feeling when you come home late from work and those puppy dog eyes just pierce right through your soul? Or when you're packing for a trip and your cat refuses to leave your suitcase? Yeah, we've all been there. Pet parent guilt is real. And you know what? It's completely normal. That's exactly why Hill's Pet Nutrition exists. They understand that being a pet parent means being human, with all of our imperfections and daily juggling acts. Hill's science-led nutrition helps you give more love than humanly possible. Whether it's those long work days or trying to balance attention between multiple pets, Hill's Pet Nutrition gets it. They've created science-based nutrition that supports your pet's lifelong health so you can feel confident even when life gets hectic. Because you're only human, there's Hill's. Science does more. Ready to let go of the guilt? Find the right food at hillspet.com/podcast. That's hillspet.com/podcast. Every good detective needs a partner to support them on important cases. Think of a State Farm agent like your sidekick, there to help you along the way in your search for coverage. State Farm can help you choose the coverage you need, whether it's for your home, car, boat, or even RV. With so many options, it's nice knowing you have help finding what fits for you so you can get back to solving all of life's bigger cases. Go to statefarm.com or use the award-winning app to connect with a local agent and get a quote. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Investigators theorized that the bags had all been placed in the same location by the killer, but the arm that had been discovered in the road was probably uncovered by animals.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, unlike the previous victims, there wasn't any wallet or belongings found on or near the body to help identify this man. Before the remains were removed, a crime scene technician took fingerprints and examined the body. And from what the technician could tell, the parts had all been washed and there was very little blood in these bags. He also took photographs, including one of a tattoo between the index finger and thumb of the right hand, which said Linda. A few hours later, the fingerprints and the tattoo were entered into the automated fingerprint identification system, but nothing came back on a local search. But luckily, when the prints were sent to Philadelphia and New York for comparison to their database, they ended up with a hit.
Okay.
Their victim was a known sex worker in New York who went by the name Eddie Ramos. About an hour later, another hit came back, this time from Philadelphia, where the victim was known to police by his real name, Anthony Marrero. Anthony Marrero had been born in Puerto Rico on May 2nd, 1949, but detectives quickly learned that, even to those who knew him, he hadn't shared a lot of information about his past. They knew that he lived in Philadelphia from 1969 to 1983, and that he then moved to Manhattan. When it came to any other information, though, like friends and family, and, particularly friends who also performed sex work, weren't very forthcoming or eager to cooperate with the police.
Yeah.
Even now, author Elon Green notes it's pretty hard to find information on Anthony Marrero. He did have an arrest record for solicitation and just other petty crimes. And that contains some biographical information, but otherwise his past was remaining a mystery. At the medical examiner's office, the autopsy strongly indicated what already investigators assumed, that Anthony Marrero was killed by the same man who had killed Peter Anderson and Thomas Mulcahy.
Yeah.
Like the other victims, his body was disarticulated. Rather than crudely dismembered, it had also been done post-mortem. Time of death was estimated to be somewhere between 3 and 5 days earlier, so decomp was already well underway. But still, the cause of death was very easily identifiable and listed as multiple stab wounds to the chest and back, just like the other cases.
That's so brutal when you think about that cause of death.
Because you bleed out.
Yeah. And it's just a brutal way to kill someone.
Yeah, it's a lot. Otherwise, there was no sign of physical trauma, and there was no indication that Anthony had been sexually assaulted or drugged at the time of death. From what detectives were able to learn about Marrero, they knew that he worked a lot at the Port Authority bus terminal in Manhattan. And one of the terminal agents told them that when he wasn't working at the bus station, Anthony would cruise what he called the basic bars, meaning the area's upper middle class gay bars.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Assuming the case was connected to the other murders, the detectives went straight to the townhouse bar, but nobody remembered having seen Anthony there before.
Okay.
But somebody did remember seeing him working a lot in an area just down the street. So while they couldn't place him in the townhouse where Thomas Mulcahy and Peter Anderson had been, they still felt pretty confident that his connection to the area was a good indication that they were looking for their same killer.
For sure.
Within a week, detectives had exhausted all the New York leads and turned to their peers in Philadelphia, but those leads also dried up quickly and really went nowhere. According to his family, Anthony would sometimes make his way back to Philadelphia, but he never stayed very long, and they never knew when he was coming back. By the 80s, they had learned how Anthony was making his living, and they had come to accept that his life was pretty dangerous and likely could have ended the way that it did.
That's so sad.
But they said there was little they could do to persuade him to stop, which is really sad.
Yeah.
Several months later, though, a reporter from the New York Times would uncover more about Anthony's life, and what he learned only seemed to strengthen his connection to the other victims. According to his brother Louis, Anthony struggled with addiction since the breakup of his marriage in 1980, which Louis did attribute to his wife finding out that Anthony had an interest in men.
Okay.
Ever since then, Louis said Anthony kind of just bounced around from place to place, casually dating both men and women, and earning money however he could or borrowing it from family members. In the interview, he did recount a story, though, about how his brother always dreamed of becoming a pitcher for the Philadelphia Phillies.
Oh.
And actually, one year he was even invited to try out for them.
Oh, shit.
In the end, he wasn't asked back for a second tryout, but that's
like big dreams.
That's
too.
a lot, too, to actually be personally invited by them.
I mean, when you think of like the stats of how many people could even make it to that point,
right?
It's very low.
It is.
Yeah.
And to be asked back for a second tryout is like...
Yeah, that
would have been major. So the fact that he was even asked for one is crazy.
That means he was really good.
It does. And Louis said he even showed me the invitation to try out. He was very proud of that invitation.
As he should be.
Yeah. In the absence of new leads, though, investigators turned back to the small amount of evidence that had been collected at the crime scene. Crime scene technicians had discovered 2 fingerprints and a palm print on the plastic garbage bags, but unfortunately they didn't match anything on file in New Jersey, New York, or Pennsylvania.
Damn.
So that only left them to work with the distinctive bag where Anthony's head was found. From the information printed on the bag, they learned that Made with Pride bags were custom printed for promotional use and distributed pretty locally.
Oh.
But unfortunately, to Acme Security, the company that produced them, locally meant a very long list of cities and towns across a tri-state area.
I was hoping locally would narrow that down a little more.
Not so much, no. So the list provided to them wasn't completely useful to investigators, but one location did stand out to them: Staten Island, New York.
Ooh.
So we keep coming back to Staten Island.
I was going to say, we keep touching upon Staten Island.
Yep. Unfortunately, though, like the other cases, the trail did quickly go cold, and after a few days, detectives had moved on to what they considered to be more pressing cases. Then, on July 31st, 1993, the case was unexpectedly revived, unfortunately, with the discovery of yet another body.
Yeah, because I'm sitting here like, more pressing cases. You have a serial killer.
Yeah,
everybody.
They're targeting gay men.
The victim profiles.
Yeah, it's a very different time.
Mm-hmm. It's just so frustrating. It's like, this is a literal serial killer.
It's a serial killer, and the gay community is at risk.
Brutal serial killer.
Yeah, not just like, I mean, any serial killer is brutal, but this is
just like, he could this is very, very dangerous.
Yeah, but that was back at a time where they considered being gay an at-risk lifestyle.
Less dead.
Yeah, so that's awesome. On the afternoon of July 30th, Ronald Calandria packed up his truck at the Route 9W overlook in Haverstraw, New York, and he placed all the trash in large barrels to be picked up by the sanitation workers later that day. When he came back the next day, though, he was surprised to find that his barrels hadn't been emptied. But when he looked closer, he realized it wasn't the trash he had put in the barrels the day before. Somebody else had come along in the middle of the night, it seemed, and dumped more garbage. So he was like, what the fuck?
What the fuck?
So he's obviously curious about what somebody would have wanted to dispose of in someone else's trash.
Yeah, he's like, what the hell? I'd be fucking pissed.
Yeah. So he untied the knot on the heavy-duty green bag sitting on top of the pile, and that was when he discovered what he believed to be a human head.
Holy shit.
Later, he told a reporter he had to be dumped overnight. It was still fresh, and there were no flies.
Oh my God. And also, it's like, to know that this person came by and just dumped a severed head in your garbage in the middle of the night?
Cannot imagine.
How do you ever sleep again?
Also, you have a list of thoughts running through your head when you open garbage of what could possibly be in there. A decapitated head would never be one of them.
That would not be the thing that would be forefront of my mind.
No.
Like, what the fuck?
I cannot. So by that point, most law enforcement agencies in the area had heard about the murders of Peter Anderson, Thomas Mulcahy, and Anthony Marrero. So this crime scene had an eerie familiarity.
Yeah.
The body had been disarticulated, but the barrel contained only the head and arms of the adult man. Each had been wrapped in heavy-duty green garbage bags.
Same thing.
Just like before. Mm-hmm. Later that day, at a rest stop a few miles down the road, the rest of the body was discovered in identical garbage bags. That same day, a man collecting bottles and cans along the Hudson River found a briefcase and a bag of men's clothes, which he brought to the local police station. And inside the briefcase were several documents that identified their victim as 56-year-old Michael Sakura. According to the medical examiner, Michael's cause of death was blunt force trauma to the skull. So that's different this time.
I was going to say that's a change up.
It is a change up. It caused, quote, multiple comminuted fractures.
Holy shit.
Yeah. As well as lacerations to the front and back of his head and swelling and trauma in his brain.
Oh my God.
There were also stab wounds to the chest and back, similar to what had been seen with the other victims. But what interested detectives in this case was that unlike the arms and the head, which had been expertly disarticulated, for the first time in this series of cases, the legs had been crudely dismembered from the body, which indicated to them that the killer had to have been in some kind of rush for whatever reason.
Oh, interesting.
Otherwise, there wasn't a lot to go on from the autopsy. If investigators wanted to learn who killed Michael Sakura, it seemed that they were going to be more likely to find that out by learning about his life rather than his death.
Yeah.
So they found that Michael Sakura lived in New York's West End in a studio apartment that he'd been in since 1964. From the doorman, detectives learned that until a few months ago, he had actually been in a relationship, but the doorman hadn't seen the partner in a while, so he figured they broke up.
Okay.
When detectives got into contact with Michael's sister, Marilyn, that's when they learned a great deal more about their victim. Michael Sakura was born and had been raised in Ohio as the oldest of two children born to Michael Sr. and Mary Jane Sakura. Sadly, according to Marilyn, their parents weren't really educated. They worked blue-collar jobs. And their father, who they called Big Mike, had served a few years in jail after a robbery conviction in his early 20s.
Oh, man.
And both parents participated in domestic violence, quote unquote.
Oh, boy.
Marilyn said, which was often directed at her and her brother.
Oh, that's awful.
Yeah, they had a rough childhood. Marilyn did, though, seem to remember their mother more fondly than their father.
Okay.
And indicated that their father was not only viciously homophobic, but racist to boot.
Wow. He sounds like a gem.
He does. Marilyn lovingly referred to Michael as a quote-unquote nerd who, quote, wanted to know everything about everything and would read whatever he could get his hands on. Aww. She said he loved music and theater, and he had dreams of making a name for himself on Broadway.
Aww.
In high school, she said he casually dated girls, but according to Marilyn, some members of the family did sense that he may have been gay, even if they didn't know exactly what it meant at that time.
But he was obviously not going to even bring that up in front of his racist, homophobic father.
Nope. Like the other victims, Michael very much understood that his sexuality would be unacceptable to his family and his friends and his neighbors. So he kept his interests and attractions to himself. And as soon as he graduated from high school, he joined the Army and got the hell out of Ohio. After 3 years in the Army, Michael was discharged in May of 1958 with a, quote, undesirable discharge.
Oh.
Now, it's unclear exactly what this meant, and I didn't actually realize this, but in the 1950s, the federal government actually considered gay men to be a risk to national security. I'm going to say that again for the people in the back. The federal fucking government considered gay men to be a risk to national security.
Is that shocking now, though?
It's not, but but it is.
That's not shocking at this point in time in the year 2025. I'm like, yeah, that makes sense that they would think that.
I'm like, you guys are worried about gay men? Look who's in the fucking White House. Sorry.
The dumb just doesn't even
get a grip.
It's shocking in the most horrific way, but it's not surprising.
It's awful.
Yeah.
And this was either because of their associations or their risk of being blackmailed, they said. So it is possible that discharge was related to his sexuality.
Wow.
Which is just fucked.
That's wild.
Yeah.
I've never heard of an undesirable discharge.
Neither have I.
I've only heard of like a dishonorable.
Same.
You know?
Undesirable is almost worse.
Yeah, it doesn't sound great.
And according to Elon Green, the discharge was humiliating and prompted Michael to come out to his family, who were obviously less than supportive. Oh. So rather than go back home to Ohio, Michael moved to Arizona for a few years and then finally got settled in New York's West End in 1961. From that point on, he was finally able to grow into really who he wanted to be.
Good for Michael.
He was comfortable with himself. He found community among New York's gay community. And he just really didn't go back to Ohio much. He would go back on holidays or, family milestones. But otherwise, the city was his true home.
Good.
And
I'm glad he found it.
Probably more true family there.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways, the details of his life bore similarities to the lives of the other victims, other than the fact that he was the first victim who was comfortably and openly gay. But unfortunately, while the statements from friends and families told a lot about who Michael was when he was alive, it didn't do much to indicate how he had come to be murdered.
Yeah.
There was, however, one piece of information that did prove to be helpful. According to his sister Marilyn, Michael was a regular at the Five Oaks Tavern, which was a popular piano bar in Midtown Manhattan.
Ah, that sounds familiar.
Yeah, not the same as the Townhouse Bar, but a piano bar.
But a piano bar.
Yes. So the news of Michael's death was a shock to everyone at the Five Oaks, where he spent a lot of his nights just drinking, chatting with the staff and the patrons until last call. He had started going to the Five Oaks almost 20 years earlier when he and the other gay staff members at the New York Law Journal started stopping by the bar every day after work just to kind of shoot the breeze.
Yeah.
Since then, he was kind of a fixture at the bar. According to one of the bartenders at the Five Oaks, he had been at the bar late the night that he was killed. And the piano player remembered seeing him sitting with a man at the bar whom Michael introduced as a nurse that worked at St. Vincent Hospital and just introduced him with some generic men's name that unfortunately the pianist couldn't recall. He said that the two of them spent several hours drinking and chatting and that they left the bar together around 3 a.m. And that was the last time anyone saw Michael Sakura alive. Oh. And that is where we are going to end for part 1.
Oh, damn. This is brutal.
It's brutal. It's really sad. And it just breaks my heart that a lot of these men didn't get to live comfortably.
Yeah. And
ever.
Never. And then in Michael's case, you're happy that he got to live comfortably, but you're like, a lot of your life was spent like in an abusive place, and then you were like abused in the end. And it's like, that's so sad.
Yeah, this is a gut-wrenching case. And again, I can't believe that we had never heard of this.
No, it's gross.
It is.
That we've never heard of this.
It's really sad. In part 2, though, we're going to get a lot more into the background of who this killer is. Don't worry, he was found.
Thank goodness.
Apprehended. And there's some surprising details in part 2 that you're going to be like, how was he still on the streets for this to happen?
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So with that being said, we hope you keep listening.
And we hope you
keep
it
weird. But not so weird that
you're a hateful fuck.
Yeah. Yeah, not that weird.
Don't be that weird.
Not so weird that you suck.
You guys rule, though.
Yeah, of course.
You wouldn't take financial advice from a 72 hours in a single day alpha influencer, would you? Same goes if you're in a car accident or any accident. Who you choose matters. That's why Morgan & Morgan exists. They're the largest injury law firm in America, and they've built a reputation by actually winning cases, not just talking about it. Over 1,000 lawyers across all 50 states and $30 billion recovered. Injured? Go to forthepeople.com/podcast. That's forthepeople.com/podcast.
Traditional home security only alerts you after a break-in, and that's too late. Simply Safe is changing that.
Stop. This is Simply Safe. Police are on the way.
We don't just alert, we stop crime before it starts. Simply Safe, plan starting around $1 a day. Save 50% on your new system with professional monitoring at simplysafe.com/SXM or with promo code SXM.
Outdoor deterrence requires a Simply Safe Active Guard outdoor protection plan starting at $49.99 a month. Visit simplysafe.com/licenses for alarm license information. Tennessee 2012.